Hi everybody, welcome to another one of my videos where I use exposure and response intervention to help treat my choking phobia. So basically I'm going to rate my anxiety before I do my exposure, and then rate my anxiety afterwards, and for the most part it should go down or stay the same. And then what I also like to do is write down any thoughts or images I'm having while I'm doing my exposure and talk about those after the exposure is finished. Right, so before my choking anxiety level it's actually at a 0, which I'm really happy for. So I'm not even sure if this means I should be doing the video. It really makes you think. What's the purpose in doing a video if anxiety is already low? It can't be lower than that, but here we go. I'm gonna have to do it, I guess. exposures ended, anxiety remained unchanged. I think I just wanted to mention, I ate a lot more today than what I ate on camera. I had potato chips, cheese, a couple cookies, you know, like a chocolate bar or something, half a brownie. And even though I was hungry later on in the day, I learned to curb that hunger. Like, it wasn't that bad. And what I recently started doing is like pre-dawn, like around 5 or maybe 4, sometimes 3, I'd wake up and just snack on things. So even though usually this meal used to be my biggest meal, I really wouldn't eat anything the whole day. Because of this response or these things I've been doing, it's now I have this meal that it's my main meal that I eat in the morning. Then if I get hungry later, I'll eat later. And if I don't get hungry, I won't eat. And sometimes I might still. And I think that's just a byproduct of not being as anxious around food and eating. So what I'm going to do now is quickly talk about the thoughts that I'm having and images. First one is stop making these videos because I'm thinking like maybe I don't need to make them anymore because I don't have anxiety anymore. But I don't really believe that. Right. Because I want to still make them. They just make me feel good. I think that's my OCPD. Next thought. Paper binding will choke me, right? The paper binding here, I think it might fall on my plate. I might not see it because it's so small. Again, my mouth, I'll choke. Next thought. Person B, my old boss, who used to work at a pizza blank, who actually does still work as a pizza maker. Just an image of her making pizza. I'm not sure why I saw yesterday, WI. Okay, next thought is story of the boy out the train station. I'll talk about that in a second. I struggle with my spiritual strivings. And phone case cover will choke me, which just to record, this is the phone case cover. I feel like, you know, because it's not edible and it was over my food, a part of it might drop in my food, I might not see it, and therefore I'll eat it and choke. So with that being covered, let's talk about the thing that I wanted to talk about, which is story of the boy at the train station. It's not that important of a thing to get into. At the same time, I think it's incredibly important for me to understand this incredible moment that happened in my life. I think this will be a very boring story for everybody else, but I feel like I need to get it off my chest because it's not something I really shared with people, and I believe it's very crucial for me to experience that moment. It was almost like God was like teaching. It was a teaching moment from the Creator, I believe. Like really how, you know how God teaches us things, inspires us with things, and inspires us to meet certain people. I believe this is one of those moments. So let's get into the story. I'm just gonna go in my car though first, have a cigarette, get all set, and we'll have story time. I'm not gonna make it a two-parter, just give me a couple minutes. I just need to get my shoes on, go in my car, and basically, yeah, I'm gonna take a ride down the dispensary. I'll talk about this. And then the video might be uploaded a bit later today because I don't actually no, it might not be because now I have data, so I can upload it at the earlier time. Oh yeah. All right. 1 second, guys. Let me just get my. All right, here I am. So here's the story. How do I explain it? Well, let's go all the way back to the beginning. Alright, 1 second, let me just get in my car. Let me just get in my car, then we'll go back to the beginning. You gotta go to my car to get to the beginning. It's like Back to the Future. Alright, here we go. So, this thing happened to me. Hi, guys. This happened to me, I want to say around 2011 or 2010. what happened was I was going through a series of events in my life that were just different, okay? What I mean by different is I began having delusions of, for example, thinking that the people next to me were trying to speak to me telepathically, okay? Or I had delusions that like I'd have a dream and then I'd wake up and it'd profoundly affect me. Because, for example, it was a person who I've never met before, who, for example, someone close to me would always talk about as being like a sheikh or Sufi scholar who was much respected by these people, you know, would come to me and I would see his picture, right? There's a picture. Okay, it's very weird. It's hard to explain. I was in a room that was someone very close to me. I was sleeping over there, and there was a picture of this person who I saw in a dream, who has been discussed many times in my social circle as to who he is. He's like a imam of like sheikh in Islam, and he was very close to the people I was hanging out with. He passed on, but they still keep his picture. Sometimes they even talk to the picture. They, you know, just to keep like the inspiration. Like I have my own, like I believe pictures are haram. That's the dominant opinion. In I believe all 4 schools of Islamic theology. It's haram to have pictures, any sort of pictorial representation. You know, even like that's just basically, you know, I think there's a minor opinion saying, you know, it's okay, but for the most part, I think it's haram. That's the dominant opinion. That's like the relied upon opinion, the opinion most people would follow. Anyway, I'm digressing. This is a psychology channel, not a religious channel. So, basically, this I don't know, this dream happened where this person came to me who was passed on, and the photo I was staring at in the dream, which was of the person, moved. Like it smiled at me, and I remember it definitely smiled. I'm not sure if it winked, and that's the weird part about it. Like when you're thinking about it, you don't know exactly what happened. I know for sure it smiled at me, the picture, and then it said to me, like either telepathically or I was made aware that it was trying to communicate with me. It was saying like, why are you so jumpy? But it said it in Urdu, like, you know, like jumpy yar, like you don't need to be so jumpy. It's basically what I got from that dream, from this person who was speaking to me through their photo, I guess, who was passed on. And it made me, as soon as I kind of, you know, had that part of that dream, I think I dreamed a little bit more, and then I woke up. And when I woke up, you know, it was around 10 o'clock in the morning, everyone was up, and I looked at the picture, and it was just so weird, because when I looked at it, I was thinking of what he said to me, and it was like, almost like he was communicating from the dead, from beyond the grave. So that was the beginning of this kind of temporal experiences that I was having, whereby I started to appreciate the world in a metaphysical way rather than just a purely physical way. And I think I may have overdid it. I think I may have went a bit. They have words for this in Islam where you become spiritually psychotic. It's called having a hal state, or a state of ecstatic spiritual awareness is how you roughly translate it into English. It's HAL or hal. It's a state where, like, because you've prayed a lot, and so God perhaps in His wisdom gave you a sort of like a spiritual opening of some sort to tell you to maybe not be so anxious or something like that. So that happened, and then like my mental faculties got clouded because I also thought God was like not talking to me, but like I felt like I was being inspired to do certain things, like mundane things, like not mundane things, but For example, I was inspired to take the 99 Names of Allah, which is like a calligraphical like wall art that was hanging, and in my mother's room, which I believed I bought and I gave to her, but she believed she bought and it was hers. But maybe we bought two identical ones, and I lost mine or she lost hers. Or what I think actually happened was she bought two for me and my brother, and my brother didn't want his, so I think I lost mine and then claimed my mom took it, but it was actually my brother's who didn't want. So isn't that weird? Like, you think something is like that, but it's not that way and it comes out differently. Anyway, I don't want to make this video so long, but I do want to get to why I spoke about this story. Long story short, I go to my grandparents' house, right, in Edmonton, and I experienced powerful hallucinations that I can't really explain to this day, that literally forced me to leave where I was. I was not on any drugs, you know, I was sober. I was actually sober for about maybe a year. Like, I do remember there was maybe 4 months out of that year where maybe I was smoking a little bit because I relapsed, and I recognized my relapse. Actually, I think that relapse, I actually was sober. Like, I wasn't high. Well, I didn't drink at all during this time. It was only after I started to do that. I know before I was basically just I was on medication for, actually I wasn't even on medication. I was just literally just not going to school or work and just praying a lot. Just staying in my house and praying all the prayers and reading the Quran and listening to lectures and dealing with the divorce of my parents. Anyway, so the whole flight was so weird too, going to Edmonton to see my grandparents. Because the person, this is so weird, I never told anybody this before, but the person who I thought was being telepathic with me, right, at the airport, she was just one at the airport who sat next to me. I thought she's being telepathic with me. She later had to be helped off the plane first when we got to Edmonton from Toronto, because she was having a medical emergency, and it was found out that she had, I think she said she had crabs or something. And it just made me think just about, like, why is there a connection between me having I guess you could say a telepathy encounter, or whatever you want to call it, this weird sort of state you're in where you can maybe pick up on people or read people's thoughts, I don't know. And basically you were kind of like, I can't believe this is kind of happening. Is this happening? You were kind of like not there. That's what I felt like. I wasn't there. I was there and I was doing certain things, but I just didn't feel like I was in control of what I was doing. So the plane lands, you know, we get there, and I was still hallucinating a lot. I was thinking like some dark energy was following me, or some dark force was following me. And if I just said the correct Islamic phrases, it would go away, like Arabic phrases from the Quran. So with that all said, you know, after the trip, which lasted about 2 weeks, I believe, or maybe it was a week, my brother unfortunately had another overdose of, he took his, I think it was his sleeping medication, and he became unresponsive. They took him to the hospital. Thank goodness he puked on the way there, so most of the pills did leave his body. But he claimed that he, for example, one of the things I want to say before his claim was he was chained to the bed. I don't know why he was chained. Maybe he was, you know, obstinate, uncooperative. You know, he was high on baclofen, so it's hard to, you know, get a estimation to what he was thinking, what he was doing. I don't know if it was a suicide attempt. I think he just said he was bored. For me, what was happening was I was bored with him, right? I was sitting with him, and he looked really bored, really tired. We just had some pizza, and he had some pizza or whatever, and I was just sitting in our bedroom, which is actually my grandparents' bedroom, but they were sleeping, I believe, in separate rooms to accommodate us. And basically, I began to think to myself, well, I should teach him something about Islam. So I started basically just reading this book I had. One of the books I was inspired to bring with me, you know, to learn how to pray and everything, to make sure all my prayers are done correctly and everything. And this book, I started reading it. I got about past half the first page before he started saying to me, you know, he said my name, and he said, "What is happening to me? What is happening?" You know, like, basically, what is happening to me? And I tried to explain to him, I'm teaching you Islam. And he just kept saying it again and again, like, what is happening to me? What is happening to me? Until I got so scared, because I thought maybe he wasn't there, like he was gonna like have a seizure. Because I was thinking to myself, I asked him, did you take anything? And that's when I think he revealed, yeah. He just said, just baclofen. And I think that's when I kind of ascertained, oh, baclofen's, I've never heard of that drug. You've taken it before. Is that a new thing here in Edmonton or whatever? But then I think I figured it out. He showed me the bottle, or he clarified it's a sleeping medication I take for sleep. And I got really scared. Or maybe, I'm not sure if I knew what he was taking. Like, I didn't know what baclofen was, but I knew he was on something. I got immediately scared. I put the book down, and I stared at his face, just to get a read on, you know, what he's doing. His face turned into a green alien insectoid monster / jinn. I'm not even lying. Swear to God, wallahi, if God's lying, if I'm lying, may Allah take me to account and take me to hell. I'm not lying about what I just saw. Okay? And I saw this, and I got immediately scared, obviously. Walked up out of the bedroom, off the bed, and went to my grandma, who was sitting watching TV with my grandpa. And so about 10 minutes after that, I'm just trying to relax from what I just saw, figuring out like what just happened, what is happening. And also during this time, there were certain insectoid hallucinations I was having that didn't make me feel very comfortable. For example, when I'd walk from a certain part of the house, there would be like this huge cockroach image. It was an image of this scaly cockroach, brown, big. I'm talking like as big as like the door frame, okay? And you could see like its scaliness. And it was just like an image that came while I would walk through a certain doorway, going to basically the houses, not the houses, but the bedrooms of the different people who used to live at my grandparents' house, with my sister, I mean, like my mom and their sisters and everybody, right? And it was very weird. And at first, like, I was scared to do it. Then I finally said, fuck it. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going right through it. And I said, I wasn't sure. I was like, yeah, good, keep going. You're strong. And I kept doing it again and again until I got desensitized to actually this image of this cockroach. And I went back and forth all the time. I would get Zan and everything. Oh, I forgot a book. And so I adjusted to that. Another hallucination I was having during this time was when I would go to sleep. When I put my cover on, the cover would be the cockroach skin, scaly skin on me. And it was huge. It was as big as the cover. And I went to sleep. You know, I said my prayers, and I just didn't care. Like at first, like it was almost like it was like an afterthought. Oh yeah, by the way, your you know, your bedroom, your what do you call it? Your blanket is covered with cockroach scales. But me, I don't know what it was. I had other things going on with my delusions. I just said the Ayatul Kursi, said some prayers, went to sleep. I was too tired and too mentally exhausted to actually realize how to actually ascertain or express what I'm saying to the people around me. So I just kind of just prayed and I guess said, okay, this is probably, you know, as weird as thinking, you know, the person next to you waiting in line for the plane is telepathic with you and, you know, had crabs. You know what I mean? Like, how odd is this? And how do they connect and everything, right? So, with my grandparents watching TV while my brother is basically not sure where he is. 5 minutes into this, my grandmother asked, where's, you know, my brother? Like, where is the person said? And I said, he's in his room sleeping. And he's like, oh, it's like 7 o'clock, bring him out. You're like, he doesn't sleep so early. And that's when I I didn't say anything. I was just in shock. So I was like, I don't know. He just seems tired, you know? Like, I didn't know. I don't think I said something like that. Like, okay, I guess I'll come back. And I think I was about to get up, or I was on my way there, and then Mom was already there. That's my uncle. Sorry, I didn't mean to say his name. You won't find any information from him. That's not his real name. That's what we call him. And so my uncle, who lives there with us, with my grandparents, went to the room, saw him basically unresponsive, and said, "You need to call your mother. He's unresponsive. She needs to call 911." And then a huge argument ensued between my uncle and my mom, right? Brother-sister quarrel, whereby she was out, basically, I guess, with her friend who she hadn't seen for a long time. And I guess Mom called her and said, "Your son is basically overdosing. You need to call 911." And she's like, "I'm at, the mall with my friend. You need to call 911. I'll get there as soon as I can." And so there's a huge debate about who called 911. I think eventually my grandmother did, or my uncle, don't know. Huge fight happened, and then, the whole thing happened. The paramedics came. When the paramedics came, okay, when 911 was called, I had another hallucination. Basically, small grasshoppers, okay, like maybe this big, green, were raining in our house, my house, like my grandparents' house, were raining on everywhere. It was raining, like rain, but it was grasshopper rain. And it was all coming down. I was seeing the paramedics, and I knew I had to get away from the situation because I was having a mental breakdown. I literally was losing control of reality. I didn't know what's going on. My mom comes home screaming, saying he's not breathing. Next thing I know, I see 2 paramedics come in and wheel him out. Okay? It was at this point that I realized shit was getting real, and he makes it. He claims I was there in the hospital room. He's probably on drugs or something, right? Like, to help him flush out his system, so he didn't know what he was thinking. He asked me later, he's like, "You came, right? You came to the hospital room with me." I was like, "No, I was with Grandma the whole time." Because I was having a mental thing. And he was like, "No, you were there. I was talking to you. You asked me, do you want to have a cigarette? Let's go out and have a cigarette." I was very weird. Anyway, so long story short, what I wanted to talk about was when I came home in Toronto after this, I had a whole bunch of hallucinations, but one of the most powerful ones wasn't a hallucination. It was actually a real incident that happened with real people. I swear it was real. Now, this is real, okay? What I mean to say is, I was coming to terms with my new hallucinations and just figuring out who I am. Am I X-Men? Is this role in my head? Should I even care? I abused a bit of marijuana, no doubt. A little bit. So I'm walking. I think I was at the bus station, not too far from my house, waiting to go downtown, I believe, to meet my friend. While I was waiting for the bus, looking at the schedules, getting the tickets in the terminal, it was very like lonely area. There's only me and no one else there. This kid, maybe 16, 17, comes up on his bike, and he goes into the terminal. And so there's a terminal, there's a ticket machine, and then there's just a downstairs area, which I guess leads to the trains, but usually the trains don't come, like they come every hour, so it's usually deserted down there. And so this guy comes into the terminal, and he looks at me with his bike, and he's like, "Hey man, what's going on?" I was like, "Hey, how's it going? Everything good and everything?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was starting to explain, he's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to Toronto, man, going to Union Station, right? Gonna see some friends." He's like, "Yeah, cool." And then he's like, "Hey man, can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, is it okay if like someone's like, I don't know, like 16, and someone who's like maybe like 21 would want to like, be with them and like sleep in the same bed with them? Is that okay?" And I don't think he even knew what he was saying. Like, he was a kid, right? He was like 16. I don't think 16-year-olds really fully understand what sex is, or sexual abuse is, or rape, or whatever, right? And at this moment, while he was saying this, right before he said this to me, a huge bee, I mean a huge bee, big ass hornet, right? Big ass hornet comes out from the dark stairs, attacks me. I dodge it because I've been dodging hallucinating insects this whole time. You know, I dodged it, and this other guy who apparently wasn't used to hallucinating, to seeing big things like this. He was a kid, and I was scared too. I was like, "Whoa, man!" He literally like threw his bike on the floor and said, "You know, whoa, man! I think it's huge." I was like, "Yeah, just calm down. It's not a big deal." And I just tried to calm him down. Said, "Don't worry. Let's go outside. Maybe keep the bee inside." So we went outside, and that's when he explained the story to me. And it was at this moment, I didn't really register what he was saying. I was just like, yeah, that's bad. Like, I mean, that's not something, it's not normal. No one should be doing that. And it's wrong. I kind of said that. And then I basically just went on my life. I was like, all right, bye, I gotta catch my bus now. But now that I'm discussing it and bringing it up, it's making me think more and more how powerful this experience was, how spiritually charged it was, because it made me think that, you know, even though I was so anxious and worrying about what people would think about me, my social anxiety, am I going crazy, am I, you know, all these different thoughts I was having, am I depressed, why can't I get my life together, why are my parents divorced, all these things, it made me think that this one child, and his innocent question, destroyed all of my thoughts about what I think is considered problems. Like, at least I wasn't, you know, raped, or know someone who was raped, or was so naive enough. I mean, I was raped afterwards, but I mean, during the, like, even that was like, I don't fault myself for it, even though I did make some risque behaviors. And he's a child. Children are off limits. You can't just, like, rape a child. You know what I mean? So even if it wasn't, like, it obviously seemed like some underage thing was going on. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think to myself, I should be more just aware and grateful of this idea that at least it couldn't be that worse. Like you're a child, you don't even understand what sex is, and you're being violated, or your friend's being violated. You just have to sit there and either take it or be okay with it. And so it just made me think, like, you know, sure, you're hallucinating and your brother is an opiate addict, and if your parents divorced, you have to deal with the fact that you're gay and Muslim. But everyone has their problems. Your problems don't make you unique. And there's people that have problems don't even know the exact extent of their problems, because they have to ask strangers for advice. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it's a wake-up call, and I think it's the way God taught me to kind of open my mind to the idea that other people are having problems, and they can be much, much worse, and they will ask you for help. They will look up for you. Children will look up to you simply because you've aged more on this earth, right? Simply because the sun has passed over you longer than it has over them. And you should have a sort of wisdom. You should be able to help children. If they're saying, I'm getting sexually abused, you shouldn't just be like, yeah, that's bad, it's wrong, I'm gonna go take the bus. You should be like, all right, come with me, we're gonna call the cops, and we're gonna find out where this person lives, and he's not gonna hurt your friend anymore. You know, but I was too busy. It's my whole life. I was too in my own life, my own problems. Oh my God, my brother's an addict. Oh my God, my parents are divorcing. Oh my God, I broke up with my boyfriend. Oh my God, my friends. Oh, me. I, my. I don't think about this random person, this poor kid. You know? I'm responsible for him because I'm the one that said to him it's bad, and now I gotta go catch my bus. You know? Like, it just really makes you think, like, you think you know everything, or you're smart, or you can outsmart things, like society. You don't have a clue what's going on in people's minds. You really don't. You just make things up and then create problems in your mind. And it's such bullshit. If you just got off your ass and would stop being so goddamn fucking lazy, you would get so much shit together. You would make so much money. You would feel so much better. People would ask you for advice. People would depend on you rather than you depending on them. It's disgusting. This thought is really just making me feel disgusted at myself. So I don't know how long the video is. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I'm not sure if any of this really helped anybody, but I know I want to get it off my chest. So good talk, everybody. Remember, guys, stay with it.